I don't trust people within power who use God as the lead-in in a conversation. I do not trust religious leaders. It doesn't matter if it's your imam, it doesn't matter whether it's your pope, it doesn't matter whether it's your pastor, or whether it's your bishop. I don't trust them because there is a history with men in power who use God as the lead-in in a conversation to abuse their power. What up guys, I am Sa Ra Garvey and welcome back to my channel. Now today I want to talk about religious leaders. One religious leader in particular by the name of T.B. Joshua. T.B. Joshua was a Nigerian pastor. He is now passed on, but recently a documentary has been released on what he done in Nigeria during his time, and essentially he was a child trafficker, enslaver and a rapist.
He grabbed me and he held me very close to him, and he literally then pushed me down to the bed and he got on me.
You can go to the BBC on YouTube right now and watch it. But I want to kind of talk about people and their need for religious leaders. Now, T.B. Joshua, in his time at his church, used white people, his own words, he used white people to become the face of his church, to sell his church all around the world and gain millions and millions of followers, and also millions and millions of pounds and dollars.
He had special interest in the Oyibo, the whites.
Are you surprised that God is using a black man to do all these things?
I'm not surprised that God is using a black man.
And what has happened in this documentary is the people who were part of his church came out and gave you the real story of what really went down there. Now, this guy actually had a daughter that the congregation were allowed to abuse.
For as long as I can remember, I have been raised as T.B. Joshua's daughter.
I knew the child, Ajoke, right from birth.
She's his actual daughter, his biological daughter, with another woman outside of wedlock.
Now, for some reason, there's something in the human spirit that keeps giving religious leaders, with all of the stories that we've heard about religious leaders, whether they be your imams, your pastors, your bishops, your popes, your deacons, they keep giving them this power. They keep giving them this money. They keep giving them their time and energy for them just to abuse them.
These are daily deposits, and based on these, Tilton's followers send his ministry conservatively $80 million a year.
In 1991, an ABC News investigation into Tilton's ministry found that he only took out the cash and checks and threw away the prayer requests. Although Tilton initially denied this, he later owned up to it in a deposition.
Throughout the years, so many stories have been told about religious leaders abusing their power. And it seems like people don't learn from these types of things. They keep giving these people power. And for me, as an individual, and I'm not an atheist by the way, I don't trust people within power who use God as the lead-in in a conversation. I do not trust religious leaders. It doesn't matter if it's your imam, it doesn't matter whether it's your pope, it doesn't matter whether it's your pastor, or whether it's your bishop. I don't trust them because there is a history with men in power who use God as the lead-in in a conversation to abuse their power.
He was a sexual predator. He was a ritualist. T.B. Joshua asked me to find virgins for him, to bring young girls into disciple fold.
From child molestation, to rape, to abuse, both physical and sexual, they continuously do this. Now, within this documentary, a few women came out and actually said that T.B. Joshua, or Papa, or Daddy, as he likes to be called, continuously raped them, continuously molested them. But for some reason, these people continue to stay because they had a strong belief in this God. Now, for me, I do not need a mediary to help me contact what I call God, the source, energy, the divine. But people for some reason keep thinking that they need a intermediary. They need somebody in between them and this thing that they call God. For some reason, people keep thinking that they need an intermediary. They need somebody within the religion to give them the gateway to this divine power. Now, it is my view that if this divine power is infinite, then you should be able to contact it or have a relationship with it without having some kind of intermediary, whether it be your pastor, whether it be your imam, whether it be your scholar, whether it be your bishop, whether it be your deacon. And people don't seem to get this.
A loyalist to the core.
I was very close to him. I was just like the number 2 in the synagogue church of all nations.
A lot of people don't get this. A lot of people seem to think that they need these people. I mean, if you look at the Abrahamic religions specifically, you have popes who have a lot of power. You have imams who have a lot of power. You have pastors who have a lot of power. And a lot of people have given these people a status that they don't deserve. And I don't know, and neither do you, none of us know whether these people have actually been ordained. It's just something that they say. They just say that they've been ordained. They go to, I don't know, seminary school or some kind of scholarly school where they say, okay, I can go and study this thing and then come out, and these people have to now follow me over following this God, deity, divine entity, individual. They now follow this person. Now, I actually remember when I was younger having an argument with my family's pastor, and this is the reason why. It was Black History Month. I remember this so vividly. It was Black History Month, and he was holding a seminar on black people in the Bible. This is what he was holding. And he proceeded for that 1.5 hour seminar that he took to show us how black people have come from the Bible and what they've done in history. So he showed all of the black inventors and all of this kind of stuff. But when you go back to what he actually said, he actually used the curse of Ham and Canaan. So for some of you that don't know what the curse of Ham and Canaan is, it was the precursor, one of the precursors for Europeans to enslave black people, because the story goes that Noah had 3 sons, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. And these 3 sons had 3 wives. And so all of these 8 people got on this ark, and 40 days and 40 nights, and there was this big flood, and they came off the ark, and there were only 8 people left. Now, if there were only 8 people left, how did black people come about? Well, my pastor proceeded to say that Ham, who was one of the sons of Noah, had a son called Canaan. And this son saw his father's nakedness, and he was cursed. He was cursed black. Now, all scientific evidence, archaeological and genetic, points to black peoples, African peoples, being the fathers and the mothers of humanity, which means that all other races came from black people and not the other way around. But my pastor said that black people came from the curse of Ham and Canaan. So after this 1.5 hour lecture that I sat down and listened to, I stood up and I said, Pastor, it is Black History Month. And what you proceeded to do was tell me and the rest of the black people in this room that we are from a cursed people. Yes, that's what he done. He said that our origins as black people were from a cursed people. And these are the types of stories that happen and are preached within Abrahamic religious texts. And I just couldn't get with it. So needless to say that, yeah, it didn't end very well. And there was a huge argument, and I was a sinner and all of these other kinds of things. But I chose at that point in time not to give my power or to give my time over to a religious leader who I felt didn't know what he was talking about. However, that was me. But there are millions and millions and millions of people who continue to give over their power, their money, their time to these religious leaders, only for these religious leaders to abuse them.
Dea and his wife Mary claimed to be able to grant infertile women miracle babies after praying for them. These women were made to travel to Kenya where the birthing process would take place. It was, however, discovered that these miracle babies were actually stolen from maternity hospitals in Nairobi and presented to unsuspecting women.
And TB Joshua is another one of them. Now, during this documentary, if you guys choose to watch it, you will see that he engaged in what some people would call black magic or voodoo or something like that to try and help him have all of this power over these people. And it kind of turned out, spoiler alert, that he was an evil man and not a godly man.
So in my present, TB Joshua, cut his beard, cut part of the hair, his private part. You pour those things in the mouth of that fish. Say we should take it back to the river and drop it. That was how they start multiplying.
But that didn't matter, because what he chose to do was show people that, oh, he had all of these miracles that he was doing and he was healing all of these people. And the story is continued over the years, not just by him, but by other religious leaders. And I'm just wondering when people get the smarts to realize that people within power who use God as their lead conversation are not to be trusted. Now, does that mean that all people in religious positions who are powerful abuse their power? Of course not. I would be silly to say that. But I'm not about, given the history, I'm not about to give over my power, my money, my time to people who claim to be ordained by God. You can do it because that is your prerogative. I'm not telling you not to do it. I'm just telling you to watch this documentary on the BBC by TB Joshua, and you will see that this continues over and over again, from Africa to America to South America to all over the world. All over the world, they are abusing their positions of power. Now, some people say that this is foretold within the religious scriptures, that, you know, a lot of people will claim to be godlike and are not godlike. I mean, it's only recently that we found underground tunnels in a Jewish synagogue in America. Who knows what was going on in those underground tunnels? I don't know. Okay, but what it shows is another group of religious people who claim to be of God who are now abusing their power. This happens over and over and over and over again, and people continuously keep giving these people power. My position on this is that you guys, if you believe in this divine power, should be able to contact it without all of these intermediaries. You should be able to have a relationship with what you call the divine, what you call the energy, what you call source, what you call God, without these intermediaries. You don't actually need these intermediaries to have this relationship. And I think human beings are now evolving to some degree to realize that we don't need a big house and a big leader to give us what we already know to be true, which is, I don't need you. So if you get the time, what I suggest is going on the BBC website on YouTube and watching this documentary, because this one is a very interesting one. I have been Sa Ra Garvey. Thank you all for tuning in. Please like, share, comment and subscribe on your way out. And please, please, please have your relationship with what you call the divine. But I'm just letting you know, you don't need all these other people. I'm going to catch you on the flip side. Peace.